KYC obligations are triggered whenever a portfolio manager opens an account for a client. Knowing your client is all about meaningful dialogue that puts the client's interests first. This meaningful dialogue, combined with existing suitability requirements, shall be made fairly, honestly, and in good faith. Portfolio managers are the gatekeepers for the financial markets, but also in the best position to meet AML requirements and understand their clients' needs to meet their financial objectives. Knowing your client is about asking the right questions, asking more questions with increased risk, not ignoring red flags. Also, the meaningful dialogue must be adequate and timely. What type of information must be collected? The type of information collected helps to establish client identity and determine accuracy, make reasonable inquiries into a client's reputation, determine if the client is an insider, make a determination about suitability, and determine creditworthiness. Client information must be gathered and kept current for each client and cannot be attributed to several people, like a spouse or family member. Specific information is required for the KYC suitability obligations. Keep in mind that this is not supposed to be the tick-the-box exercise, and so the portfolio manager is encouraged to use their professional judgment when collecting this information to determine if it is relevant. In this next section, we will highlight some of the most important KYC information to look out for. It is important to have a good understanding of the client's assets and liabilities, determine the extent to which a client needs access to all or some of their investments to meet their financial obligations and expenditures. If the client is borrowing money to make investments, it is important to understand why. Don't ignore these situations and be sure clients can meet their debt obligations. We always consider things like the stage of life that the client is in. The client-focused reforms remind us that the process for developing the client's risk profile should be supportable and reliable. It should establish the level of risk the client is willing to undertake, be fair, clear, and not misleading. The risk profile should never be manipulated to justify a certain outcome. In fact, the risk profile should reflect the lower of the client's risk tolerance and capacity. If there is a conflict between a client's expectations for financial returns and the risk profile, the registered person should consider discussing this with the client and be sure they have realistic expectations and provide recommendations that meet those expectations, including alternatives. Understanding the client's investment needs and objectives may also include liquidity needs discussed above, but they are essentially the investment objectives the client is hoping to achieve. The client-focused reforms highlight that the portfolio manager should allow the customer to express their investment needs and objectives in terms that make sense to them. For example, saving for their child's education or retiring while maintaining a certain lifestyle. When establishing those financial goals, the portfolio manager should make them specific and measurable. Portfolio managers deal with clients with complex financial circumstances. Because of this, the regulators highlight that we may need more KYC information to achieve our fully customizable services and determine suitability. Also, the greater the risk, the more questions the registered person should ask.